members. Sumoto, I took a decision and I announced, saying that the next pre-conference workshop and conference will have it at Hyderabad, and we want THUB and CCMB to take it forward. And I don't know what conference, but I had conference with my colleagues and friends who have been there with my network. And Vijay was there, Ramji was there on that particular day. And immediately I made an announcement. I looked at them, they nodded their head, and it has happened today, exactly 1 year before. And thanks to all the Hyderabad incubators who have joined hands in organizing this, and especially to THUB and CCMB for making this event to happen. In this pre-conference, I also take this opportunity to recognize the presence of Mr. H.K. Mittal with us amongst us. He's sitting in the last row today. Right. It's a pleasure to have him with us, because 20 years before, when this association has been formed, he was like part of the association, well-wisher of the association. Right? It's a peculiar community is ours. An association, right, will negotiate with the government, will try to do with the government. But as an incubation center, 20 years before, when we started this association, where a few of us are still continuing, right, Bala, myself, and others are the founding members of this association, we found Mr. Mittal has been representing the government, but has been so supportive to us in forming the association and to have the bylaws and how to take it forward. And he has been very supportive. And slowly, we learned many things from him, and he also slowly made us to learn how the government will detach from the association. And he himself, after 10, 15 years of the support, right, he also made us to understand, right, how this association can grow. And even after his superannuation, he still continues to be our well-wisher. We accepted our request in the last April to be one of the member of our advisory committee, along with Ms. Poini, Ms. Deepanvita, and Mr. Ramanan, of former and founding mission director of Atal Innovation Mission. So I thank Mr. Mittal, sir, for joining us for this pre-conference today, and to spend his time with all the incubation center executives. This is the 16th conference, and we started in a small way with 25-30 incubators across the country as an association. But over a period of 2 decades, this association has grown. And pre-conference workshop, my colleague was asking me the outside whether it's conference or pre-conference. I'm seeing the entire conference executives are here, but it is about the way it has been brought together, the way the association thought what will be the expectations of the members and what we can bring back to the members as value from the association. It has all happened. And thank you all for joining. Even the organizers, we also miscalculated, right? We expected about 100 plus people will be coming for the pre-conference. And I think we should have kickstarted the conference today itself, right? Right. So thanks to THUB team for making this event pre-conference workshop to happen here. The entire team has geared up and meticulous planning. Last 1 week, 10 days, I've been watching them, what they're doing. I've not interfered with them. And whatever is been happened today, whatever you are enjoying today, it is all the collective efforts of THUB team. A big appreciation from you all for their wonderful thing. Thank you, team, for us. And today we are going to have 3 sessions as masterclass, and all the sessions has been handled by our own members. And the first session is on creating quality pipeline, and we are going to have Dr. Lakshmi Jagannathan from IIIT Hyderabad. Earlier she was with Derby, and before that she was instrumental in promoting entrepreneurship initiative at Dayananda Sagar. Have put more than 20 years of experience, and along with her we also have Ms. Gladys from iCreate, who has been the head of learning and development and also the governing body member of ISBA. All of them have contributed a lot, and despite the organizing pains, right, last 2 months, 3 months, every Wednesday and Saturdays we used to have meetings, and then we should have a lot of meetings. But despite that, they come forward to spend their time as the session resource person, right? So that's the stretch that they have come forward to stretch themselves, apart from taking the responsibility of organizing the event, coming and handling the sessions is not that easy. Same thing, the second session is about mentoring networks by T-Hub. The team T-Hub took the responsibility of organizing this, but again, they have come forward to handle the session for 1 hour, and right, that's the commitment. And when we decided to have the third session, again, our GB member has been instrumental in organizing this conference, also told that I'll handle the session, and Mr. Prasad Shetty has come forward to handle the session on seed fund. So next 3 hours, it's going to be a knowledge rich, and make the opportunity, and hope we'll have a good learning session.
To stay informed about the startup ecosystem, subscribe to My Startup TV.
We know that DST has been pioneer in inculcating spirit of entrepreneurship in the country. I'm very happy that Dr. Mittal played a very significant role in fast-tracking innovation and entrepreneurship initiative in this country. Most of the other ministries followed, and every ministry has a program now to promote innovation and entrepreneurship and promoting startups. I believe we represent not all, but some of those significant government bodies who are promoting startups. Now, we have to focus on what we can do to take it to next level. We have, earlier growth was very slow and steady, sustained growth. In last 10 years, we are on an exponential growth path. Now, but still, with our experience, we find there are some things that we need to address. And let's try to address some of the issues that I feel have been significant, and then those need to be addressed. We are world's third largest startup ecosystem. Number of unicorns, at the speed at which we are adding to unicorns is significant. And we have nearly 120 unicorns. Our study shows that not even 10% of real startups, they are into formal incubation domain. They are not within the incubators. So what you see within the incubator is the tip of the iceberg, 90% is below. How do you address that? How do you mainstream these entrepreneurs who are not into formal incubation domain? So that's one that I want you to address. Second thing is, yesterday somebody voiced it. If you see the unicorns, not significant number of unicorns have come out of incubators, formal incubators. So there are large number of, majority of the unicorns have come up from non-formal incubation support system. How do we again address that issue? And third is, if you see the unicorns, most of the unicorns are either in fintech or they are into e-commerce. How do you make manufacturing startups unicorns? Very quick pointers, just pinpointed response.
So first thing is, yes, if we talk about startups who are not into incubation centers, I think although for biotech, I do not completely agree with this, because biotech startups need very high-end equipments. Their R&D is resource intensive. They need very high input at the initial level. So I think biotech startups are the ones who leverage incubation system in our country the most. In case you feel that startups are not into the mainstream, I think there might be some things that our incubators lack. Then first, I would say incubators should focus on getting high quality certifications like GLP, GMP, and they should also cater to the specific needs of the startups. If any niche kind of startups are coming to the incubation center, so their demands would be different. So focus on that, work on that, get the certification, and then maybe attract those startups who are not coming into incubation network. Second, I think the biotech unicorn number is quite less. So I agree with that, but I also believe that because biotech startups, they see the light of the day, they get the results in a very long time. We all know the challenges that a biotech startup faces, and that gestation period, I think, is for the startups who started, let's say, 7-8 years back. So I'm sure the time will come for biotech startups too, and all conducive environment, all support that is required for any startup to reach that state. I think all instrumentation is there now, and so the time for the biotech startup would come for sure.
First thing first, thank you, Isba, for having me here. Number two, I'm the odd one out, as in from a state government. But then I'm sure this also stresses there are a lot of other states out here. We have Punjab and of course Karnataka, IAP, Telangana have always been leaders out there. So all of us trying to push in this. Sir, your third question first, and that is manufacturing. You have yourself answered out there. Manufacturing startups aren't there, and this is the pain point. Now, this is where I think, obviously, the ones with longer gestation, may it be biotech, may it be manufacturing ones, are taking a bit of time. But I'm sure all of us, all state governments, all government agencies are now looking at not only unicorns, but the Sunicorns and all those identified ones, and are focusing onto that. How are they focusing? Across the value chain. We have Brahmankar sir talking about right from ideation, and similarly, DST Gujarat has also programs right from ideation, spokes out there across universities and so on and so forth. One important point that I want to make is, like BIRAC coming up, DBT coming up with the BioE3, like T-Works, Gujarat is also coming up with something onto small scale manufacturing, small scale biomanufacturing. This is what will help. Number next, regulatory. If we can help, like the first hub of BIRAC, we have similarly our clinic or regulatory clinic. This is what will help. Tech-driven startups, manufacturing startups, they have 50 cheeze, to push through. Only if we are able to do this, we will be able to reach out to Sunicorns and take them to the unicorn ladder. Thank you so much. I'll like to add later on.
I would address the question where why many unicorns are not in our mainstream incubation. So first is, and very quick
Not
points.
unicorn, many startups.
Many startups, yeah.
Not in
the
mainstream.
incubation ecosystem. Very quick points. One is that incubation centers need to have clear-cut bifurcation of 3 types of programs. It's pre-incubation, incubation, and acceleration. And the person who is handling pre-incubation and incubation, he should take pride into it that you are not funding startups. Whoever you meet in the ecosystem, it has become a very glamour thing. Okay, how many of you are fund and I handle funding. We should take pride in incubation. That is second point. So we should have clear-cut 3 programs. The first and second has to work with academia and entrepreneurship educators very clearly. Acceleration, you need not do everything. The second point is you need not do everything together. You have to collaborate with 25 accelerators in the country and do your accelerator program. You should bring everyone together. And third and last point is that we, organization like ISBA and sir, now you, Asian Association, we need to build this as an industry, incubation as industry. Unless we get qualified incubator managers and they take pride in doing all the groundwork, we will not be able to build this multi-layer ecosystem, which will attract everyone. Because if you run accelerator good, you will have existing startup inspiring the lower ones But at the same time, you will have all those in the mainstream. That's all.
You said we don't get qualified incubator managers. What AICT is doing for it?
Yes, sir. We are launching a capacity building program for incubation managers through our innovation center, sir. Yes, we plan to train around 500 incubation managers.
Are you full-time employee of AICT?
Yes, sir.
Are you full-time employee of AICT?
No, sir. I'm not a full-time employee. So I'm an expert hired from this audience only.
I wanted to ask some other question. Anyway, we'll come back to that. Mukund, please.
Thank you, sir, for the opportunity. I think we work with a lot of incubators in the seed fund scheme, and I got a chance to put faces to a lot of names that I've been interacting with. On the question on why unicorn or fundraising startups are not primarily associated with incubators, my personal feeling is that I have seen startups that have a longer period of engagement with incubators are primarily research focused. Apart from that, the fast growth sectors, they see it in a very transactional manners. They do not have enough credit on what they can get out of incubation. And as a result, incubators are not known. People who are already having the resources or having fast growth, they are not approaching incubators. They don't know incubators and the facilities that are available in their cities or in their regions. With respect to manufacturing startups, I think we have internally within the Startup India team also been talking a lot about how to bring the manufacturing startups to the forefront. And I think over time, what we lack is focused and a long-term approach. Manufacturing always comes with the entire ecosystem. You need suppliers. You need people who can, complete the entire value chain instead of just doing simple things. So a lot of government effort is also going into this from an incubation perspective also. We are thinking on what can be done so that manufacturing startups, their initial stage problems can be identified and solved.
Okay, Dr. Arvind.
So your first question was that why only 10?
He represents one of the oldest organization, DST, who promoted startups. Yeah.
So first question was why only about 10% of the startup are incubated in incubators.
About 10%.
About
Don't take me in
about
this.
10%. So I think this is based on one of the report published by the CREST and that.
Yeah,
NRC.
there are several reports.
Yeah, so they highlighted that in India we have the incubator density of 0.8 per million, whereas in the developed country like US, UK, it is 10. So we have to first increase from that, you can say finding. The conclusion is that we have to increase the number of incubators. Second is that they said out of 10% of the incubated startup, it is means out of total incubated, only 10% of the incubator are accommodating them, of 90% of the startup. So some of the incubator means more than 90%, about 90% of the incubation center is not performing to the mark in that sense. So they are underutilized. So they have to increase their outreach activity to scout the startup. And whenever I meet some of the CEO of the incubation center, I always say that you go to the startup, not a startup will come to you. So the strategy should change. You have to go. Like whenever we are searching for the cricketer in IPL, we go to the district level and search the player, no? Good player. Similarly, we have to go there. And
Arvind, you have raised very important observation. Do you agree with Arvind?
And
Everybody agrees that incubators are not performing to the mark. Okay, if you agree with that,
only 10%.
very quickly, what is the solution?
Yeah.
If you agree, then answer.
I think, but incubators should enhance their visibility. They should engage with the, policy makers. They should be connected with them, and they should also, that's my observation, that every incubation center should document the success of their incubation center. They should have that impact booklet ready. This will give a credibility of that incubation center. And when you come to, for example, if you come to Global Bio India, where thousands of startups are coming there to exhibit their, product or technology. So you get to exchange your credibility and taking them on board. So, that's the power of networking, I think. So yes, enhancement of visibility is required for any incubation center to succeed and to get more and more startups incubated.
It's better said than done. Anand, yeah.
Sir, I do not agree. I do not agree that incubators.
I'm happy to
doing-
hear that you said that.
Yes, sir. I wear two hats. So I also head an incubator, and we need to. I mean, this is Pandora's box, but anyways, are incubators enoughly supported in terms of manpower? Incubators do want to do a lot of things. They want to document. They want to be, reaching out to all corners or whatever, and so on and so forth. But then, and documenting, etc., etc. This is something really, a lot of huge wish list. But then incubators have not been able to do that. If you look at how many programs really support incubators per se, in contrast, you get to see so many number of programs supporting startups per se. So this is another aspect out there.
Yeah.
I too do not agree, sir. But one very important thing about performance. But
Initially,
I agree with the IPL model.
initially everybody said we agree.
No, I agreed to the IPL model actually.
Okay.
Yeah. But one very important thing I think is that host institute, the educational institutions, they should not look at incubators only as a cherry on the cake, like you're wearing a jacket on your dress. Incubators are looked like that. So I think this kind of conferences should also somewhere invite. This was point of last AGM, Prasad. Okay, I highlighted that, but I did not know that time I will join MOE. So I said that we should write letter ISBA to UGC to host institute should treat incubators and incubator managers little well so that they perform. They are performing, but they are used as something like showcase. आप घर में आने के बाद घर का अच्छा कॉर्नर दिखाते हो ना गेस्ट को, तो वैसे इंक्यूबेटर्स को यूज करना बंद करना. इंक्यूबेटर्स बहुत अच्छा काम कर रहे हैं.
Sir, same. I would not say they're not doing a good job, but it's like, in my opinion, there's a potential to do a lot more. And if you look at the top performing incubators of the country versus people who are new or who have not been as active in the industry, there is a huge gap. And incubation professionals. So when we look at an incubator, generally the team, especially in the smaller incubators, changes quite a bit. So there is no long-term project at every incubator level. There is no professional association of incubation professionals. So even this is a place where incubators meet, but as an incubation professional, where do you go in your career? How do you develop? If you have a success story, how is you getting some return out of it? That perspective should also be looked at.
With this
Yeah,
responsibility,
just to clarify that, it is not DST view. It is based on, my comment was based on the report.
everybody's his personal view.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is based on the report published by that two centers,
Okay.
which is part of our innovation ecosystem itself. So either we agree to that report or not, it is up to us.
I'm going to justify your statement.
Yeah.
Tarish.
Yeah, just one thing to clarify. I did not comment on the performance of the incubation center. Me being from, BIRAC, supporting incubation center, yes, I'm not judging them that they are not performing well. They are doing a commendable job, and everyone, I think, would agree on that. We have supported close to 100 incubation centers now, and we have also entered tier 2 and tier 3 cities. So my view was just
Are all
on-
incubators doing well? Out of 100?
Obviously, there are mature
Very honest
incubation
answer.
centers. I'm
Not
giving-
direct answer.
Yes, I'm giving an honest answer here. There are, some already mature incubation centers who started, long back. They have multiple holistic support system from, various government agencies. Then there are emerging incubation centers who are doing commendable job there. And then there are who just have started, So there should be comparison between, similar kind of things, not like who just have started with the ones who already are matured and doing, great jobs there. So yeah.
All your early mature incubators are sustainable?
Okay, so sustainability is another, I think, a very
Yes or no?
detailed question.
Yes or no?
I would say no, of course, on that. Sustainability,
There we come. Okay,
Yeah.
now let's go to the
All right,
graduate.
okay.
Now, DST is saying that we give, I won't say, X amount of money, and within a certain number of years, you become financially sustainable. BARAC says the same thing. DPIT says the same thing. All ministries say the same thing. You have X square foot of space, X amount of money, and certain number of years, maybe 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, whatever, become sustainable. How is that a myth? Or that's a reality? Can you be sustainable?
Ask them, yes, incubation centers, because
You
they
can
are
volunteer
the ones.
in between. Yeah, Anand.
So I'll just complicate the problem further and tell you that, see, what are we talking about? We are talking about incubators, most often bootstrapped, most often pre-revenue, most often those ones who are into incubator आए हैं तो इसीलिए because they want to use the laboratory, they want to get their product validated and so on and so forth. अब इनके पास से आप क्या इंक्यूबेशन फीस में ले लोगे जो अपने आप को सस्टेनेबल बना लोगे? सी द मोमेंट एट द सेम टाइम like from yesterday's discussion, incubators should not become a real estate model. Agreed. Incubators, equity बहुत सारा. Now equity is again notional. जब तक आप liquidate नहीं करते हो आगे, again this is a issue. So given all of this, the point I want to make is sustainability of an incubator in a long term is a question. There has to be, like as it has been noted in minor hints by T. Madhav Rao, and then it talks about Rajyashray. So there has to be Rajyashray to some amount of innovation in this form, and this is where it needs to be taken up.
So
You have
I mean, I believe that's a common response. Do you agree with Anand?
Something more, sir. So I completely agree with Rajyashray model.
Agree and more. Okay.
Yes.
Good.
So there is one very important thing, and one thing which Dr. Jagdale will understand. I will say in Marathi, ki incubators la पोसलं पाहिजे. Okay, and some of you will understand. But I'll come in English and Hindi.
need to be nurtured.
Nurtured, and so I presented this to Chancellor of the University when I was heading incubation center.
Very
Don't
quick,
look
very
at
quick.
us as profit center. Don't look at us as a cost center. Incubation centers are value centers. Correct. We should not look at them as profit center. We should not look at them as a cost center. We are not at all cost center. We should not look at incubator. हम कितने
Yogesh,
सारे
it is
officers-
well said and done. You need money to run it. So it has to be either you have to make profit or somebody has to support.
So universities, if government is not ready to give after 5 crores or 10 crores and all that, fine. Universities are there, or industry bodies. We have Ashish ji, we have Anand ji here. The industrial incubators are there. They should.
Mukund,
Yeah.
can incubators be profit centers?
No,
That's
sir.
the only way to sustain, or somebody has to support.
No, sir. So you said sustainability. Sustainability means they have enough funds coming from different sources. Different incubators can have different models for sustainability. If I'm an incubator,
Give me a few sources of funding.
yes. So there are multiple sources from
Just
government.
two sources.
So I know that different ministries fund. They
Government fund is always limited.
Yes, yes. So that is where I was getting at.
All of you are from the government. You know that funds are limited. You want to fund, but you can't fund.
30 to 40% incubation should earn somewhere from machines and training programs. 60% should be supported by the host institute. Always throughout life.
Is it really happening somewhere?
It should happen. Yeah.
It should, nahi.
Yeah.
Now there are hundreds of incubators.
Yes.
Give me one model where it is happening.
I don't know models. PSG Tech, I don't know. Yeah. Mahindra, yes.
There are some.
AIC Mahindra is
There are
happening.
some. Very good. I'm very happy
Very
to see
good,
that.
very good.
Very happy to see that. Okay, now coming back to this, we want to take least possible equity. That's a general consensus and guidelines by all the ministries. Don't overburden. Now, the thought is coming, don't give debt funding. Take only equity. So there's no stress on the incubator, the startup, which is a good thing. I'm very happy. I will be very happy to write off if necessary, if genuine failure is there. So take least possible equity, exit fast, Don't hang on because you want to recover money so that you have money to invest in others. And from the money recovered from the startups, reinvest into other startup companies. Don't make money from that much. Very small amount of money you are allowed to make as an incubator. In this guideline, how do you sustain? Quickly.
So again, we have to create 1 or 2 very big startups which will give you money back. Not 20 every year.
You have to
Suppose
exit fast.
Huh?
Exit soon.
Yeah.
By the time they are not big.
So this is not possible, and I am happy that Anita ma'am is also here. Yeah. So that it is not very means this not true on field. I have incubated startup which take at least 30 months to get first rupee. 30 months to get first rupee. So that's where we should have focus on some very good startups which might be tech or manufacturing startup where you make 3-4 saal mein you get something and you get 2-3% equity, but his investor will not allow you to come back at least for 5 years. So 2-3 good startups will give at least, like say for example in rupees 5 to 10 crores which will survive your incubation center for next 5 years. So again, you have to bifurcate the program, sir. You have to have one acceleration program for existing startups. You should be able to attract the revenue generating startups to the incubation center so that they see some value into it and they see something more from you. Again, one point missing is that we are just looking at funding. Incubation center should have very good mentors. And that is something which is missing at the mentoring part. Otherwise, they will not make money. And for that, you should not do it everything. Again, same point I will say. You have to build that overall ecosystem or leverage the national ecosystem also.
So I'll just quickly add to this, and this is where it is important to identify high value, from where will the high value come. And this is where we have tried doing something. We have now a research to rupees program or a tech transfer hub wherein we are trying to look at low hanging fruits. If this inspires some more, and then investors, and then angels, and so on and so forth. But this is how it can be taken up. So research commercialization cannot be done away, saying this is a different ball game and incubation. But number one. Number two, there is a old OM of DSIR 2009 OM which allows educationists, which allows researchers in public organizations while being in public employment, they could be profitably engaged with startups and so on, which is not being practiced. This is something I think forums like ISBA, forums like governments should push this in. Now, only when researchers see some value into it will they support, and then you can imagine.
Just last question. Now, everywhere in the world, you need a proper ecosystem for startups to flourish, not only incubators. It's a startups only. And for ecosystem means you have industries on board, we have government on board, you have of course the education institutions on board, whether Silicon Valley, Research Triangle Park, Sophia Antipolis, STIC, Shanghai. These are ecosystems, not standalone education institution and incubator within the campus of education institution. We have some experiments in India, rather fairly good to study. But they are not real science parks, I feel. With the IIT Madras, IKP, good initiative. Do you think that this is high time for you to graduate from a standalone TBI on education campus to a research park, science park, catapults or innovation clusters? You represent government. Are there any plans? Very quick.
So Gujarat has come up with a standalone incubator in a biotech park with this logic itself, and it looks forward to integrate all other incubators in the state and in the region possibly to take it forward.
Even Faridabad also, there is an incubation center in the science and tech park. So I think we also see, sorry. For Lucknow, there is a science and tech park, but I don't see that only such kind of systems are going to completely give us the results that we are looking to. So there would always be mix and match to
Are the
create
industries
a conducive.
Are industries on board?
For RCB, yes, there are industries coming up. Many even
Associated
startups.
Associated with the
That's
startups?
what I'm telling you.
Very good.
Yes, they are coming up there. MOUs are being signed up. Even recently, we had a investor connect over there. So, such kind of whole ecosystem are being set up in the, in the regions itself. So that's
Biotech needs very different treatment.
it's a complete,
altogether.
yes, change, ball game.
Massive.
So two things about plans very quickly. So we are launching through AICT also lab to market program. I think many universities and institutes have lakhs of square feet of place. We do not need more infrastructure. Same place we should practice like research to rupee and lab to market, which we are going to not only fund but completely enable through our
So
innovation
you
centers.
expect
Yes. So the policy is in place through innovation center. So we have established something.
Are we
called as
going to
innovation
welcome
center.
industries on campus of AICT institutions
Yes,
on
sir.
campus?
Yes, sir.
Very good.
And second, one more point, sir. Next conference means what is missing in the ecosystem, you said. One is that we would like to see 30, 40 accelerators also sitting here in ISBA. So every industry is running accelerator program or their own incubation program. So next is, and that will be great success of this, building this ecosystem. To come very quickly on it, next 2 months, we are going to work with around 40 accelerators from MOE's Innovation Cell, bringing them on a platform where the academic incubation system will also directly get access to accelerators through us.
Wonderful. Mukund?
Sir, along the similar lines, we are also looking at incubator is not the only place where startups can go and get help. And academic incubators is definitely not the only model. We are looking at corporates that can, incubate startups.
I know you're sitting with corporates. Wonderful. You want to say something?
Under the national ICPS program, as well as the new quantum program, such kind of provision are being evolved.
Yeah.
So later on, we can see a complete ecosystem will be developed.
Wonderful.
At least in these two areas.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I think we had a very vibrant discussion. I really appreciate the panel.
To stay informed about the startup ecosystem, subscribe to my Startup TV.
I run a company called Sanchi Connect. We started as a subsidiary of a private equity fund. We do bunch of things. We invest also. We have invested in 14 deep tech early stage startups. We have a product line. We talked about the SaaS product that we have. We work with some of the established incubation centers, and now we are trying to support ISBA also. My personal background is I've been an entrepreneur, was heading NASSCOM's startup program for 6 years, and we'll have more. So I'll pass it on to Priyank.
Thank you, Sunil. Thank you, ISBA team, for having us here. My name is Priyank Garg. I'm managing partner, what sounds like a oxymoron, Indian Angel Network Fund. So actually, just to briefly mention, I've been an angel investor with IAN, Indian Angel Network, since 2009, angel investor myself since 2007, but I'm now managing partner for IAN Alpha Fund. An Alpha Fund is basically a venture capital fund from the IAN group. So the angel network does investments typically from 1 to 5, 6 CR, and anything above 6 crores to 23 crores, it comes to the fund. So we are a proper venture capital fund investing in pre-series A, Series A companies. We are investing in a lot of sectors, but our interests are focusing on deep tech, climate, biotech, agri-tech, manufacturing 4.0, and fintech. Basically, sectors that we think are the future of the next decade of India. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Chandran Krishnan. I'm the MD and CEO of Campus Angels Network. We are focused on supporting deep tech startups which are incubated at university campuses, which have got early product, customers, early product validation, and are looking for support for the go-to-market validation. We support up to 2 crores. I've got, this was promoted 1 year back. My own background, I studied at IIT Madras, went to IIM Calcutta. 35 years of corporate experience where I worked in HCL Tech and CK Birla Group and Hinduja Group and Rani Group and so on. Had a lot of global experience, worked in multiple verticals. I think which all, is playing out because today I need all that experience. 5 years back, I came to the startup ecosystem where headed Chennai Angels. I was part of about 40-50 investments. And briefly, I headed SSN Incubation Foundation, which is the part of Shivanada Group. I'm on the board of IIM Calcutta Innovation Park. And two of my colleagues from Chennai Angels who are here today, Kritik and Vasant, the three of us started last year. We have funded we have closed 5 deals and 7 deals which are getting closed. So that is, and we are partnered with about 40 incubators all over India. And we are looking for more partnerships with incubators to support deep tech startups. Thank you.
Morning, everyone. I'm Surya Rao. Happy to be here. So I'm the founder of a water tech company. So we make ultra pure water units for healthcare applications, mainly kidney dialysis and also laboratory, your famous Millicue grade water systems. So I also come, before I started this company, I was heading a couple of incubators, including the one here in Hyderabad, the BITS Pilani Hyderabad incubator, and then one in Kuwait. So I hopefully bring perspectives from both sides. Also happy to see Harkesh sir here and Poini ma'am. So yeah, I'm happy to be part of this panel.
Hello everyone, I'm Kashyap. I'm the CEO co-founder at HitWicket. We are a Hyderabad-based gaming company behind the game HitWicket. HitWicket is we have 10 million users across 100 plus countries. We are venture capital backed by the likes of Prime Venture Partners and Horizons in Singapore and Chennai Angels. We're also backed by Harsha Bogle. In the course of the next 3 to 4 years, we want to be at a global level one of the biggest success stories in consumer tech coming out of India. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. So I'll start with the startups first, the ones who are representing startup here. I don't know if you have given that consideration, but we have somebody who's representing a fund which comes at a growth stage. We have somebody who's investing right immediately after the startups are graduating from the incubation center. We have somebody who's a startup and have ran an incubation center, and we have a startup. So such a diverse pool of people. So Kashyap, my question is to you. Now, what happens is, and I want to focus on the autonomy, of driving your company. You're incubated, at an incubation center, and then you get funded by a early stage investor. What happens to your autonomy? Do you think that at times we as founders, we struggle to take our own decisions? And if so, what do you think that, how can these incubators and early stage investors also give you more authority and, little more flexibility around that, if you think so?
Got it. I would say that we need to look at everybody who joins us in our journey as our partners, and you need to understand that everybody's goal is the same. The company needs to succeed, right? The only case when there's likely to be a misalignment is when, if the fund or whatever, they are not familiar with the domain, or they invested for the wrong reasons, or the company had different things in mind when they got funding and now they want to do something else, right? If those two are a checkbox, that's where even in the fundraising round, in the presentations and all, if you're very clear about what you want to do as a company for the next 3 to 4 years and having like constant feedback meetings with them, I think it kind of tends to go fairly smoothly, right? The way we see it is, as founders, we understand our business very well. We understand our product, we understand our users, we need to be the owners of that. But some of the other things like processes and hirings and compliances and things like that, these are not our DNA, right? We are not experts of that. And if the incubators in particular can help us on that front, you end up leaning on them a lot more. So I think there needs to be a bit of a demarcation on who is the owner of what aspect of it. And if that structure and decision making is very clear, then it becomes easier. We've been very fortunate to have really supportive investors who've been through us from ups and downs. And I can vouch for how much of value they've added to us. So we've had a really good experience on that front. Yeah.
Great. So the takeaway is one area where the incubation centers can really focus a lot is on the compliance side, the things which are accessory to the business of the founder, where he can skip by relying on a partner like an incubation center who can really make his or her life easy. Surya, I'm coming to you now. So you've ran an incubation center, now you are on the other side, you're running a company. Pre-seed to seed, and seed is where Chandran exist, right? Now, I'm taking you to your previous journey where pre-seed startups exist. I know, we all see that a lot of investors are invited by incubators, but what beyond that? What do you think can incubators do to make the founder's life even more easy? Because they are at that level where, one side you have the incubator holding you or, guiding you. The other side you have to keep on, slowly and steadily you have to lose your arm so that somebody else can hold that founder.
Yeah, thanks, Sunil. So I'd say, having been through this journey from being incubated and all that, the first thing the incubator could do is really set a tight filter on which ideas they validate. So basically, startup founders tend to be sometimes emotional people who can run with an idea. So if the incubator can tell them very frankly that this is not going to fly, you'll be ending a lot of pain in the future for many startups. I've seen a lot of companies build non-viable products and realize it 4 years later. So if the incubator could really set tight filters into the filter process, that would be great. But having said that, in incubators, we are under pressure to fill up the seats, the rooms and all that. So we should set a very tight balance about who we allow into the incubator. Mainly from an empathetic point of view, the startup should not be wasting, founders should not be wasting any time in their lives. That's what we should be doing as incubators.
So which means the takeaway is you have to be the devil's advocate there. We are not there to make them happy. We are there to make them more realistic, right? Okay, Chandan, over to you. I have, every time we have met, I think this is the first time we are meeting at a place which is not a incubator. So always academics, you guys, in fact, I think your USPs, you look at startups which are coming out of the incubators from the academics, correct? Now, how do you think the incubators can add to their journey, making them more and more qualified to fetch interest of people like you?
Yeah, I'll be a little long here. Okay, so one thing I want to say is I think it's a very important thing to understand, and many of the incubators may be familiar with what I'm going to say right now. See, there are 6 stages to an entrepreneur's journey, right? Starts with germination, which is the idea stage. Just idea. There's nothing there at that time. Then they move into the idea validation phase. We call it pre-incubation. So where you need to check whether the idea has got enough legs. And only if the idea has got enough legs, you need to go to the next stage, right? Which I call it the product validation stage, where you build the minimum viable product and you test and see whether customers are willing to pay and buy the product. That I call it the hard incubation process. That is the incubation stage. The 4th stage is go-to-market validation, where you are looking for accelerating your journey into finding out customers, engagement model, pricing, revenue, etc., which I call it acceleration. And then you have growth stage and then scaling stage. So this is how I would classify the different stages. So incubation, of course, you go through their entire journey from pre-incubation to incubation to acceleration. You do all that. Let us look at from investors' perspective, how we look at it. So where idea stage, nobody is going to fund, right? Idea validation also, nobody is going to fund. So the startup has to bootstrap and then they have to go and look for idea validation, meeting about 100 prospects maybe to find out whether there is any opportunity there. When you go to the next stage, which is the product validation phase, today we have a lot of support. We have different government schemes, Startup India, Nidhi Prayas, MeitY, and so on, where for product validation there is support available, and you are also equipped. And most of the incubators are familiar with the funding which you can avail to help startups in that phase. And the next step, next stage, go-to-market validation is a stage where you will start seeing investors coming, right? There is where we come. So unless you have a very strong validation of the idea and the product, okay, investors are not going to be able to look at funding such a startup which have not gone through those phases. So that is, I want to say, we at Campus Angels Network, we come in at the product validation, at the go-to-market validation phase, and so there is where we are looking for startups to fund. Now, couple of things I want to add here. See, what we look for is for the startup. The founders. They should. I mean, the vision should be clear. Their idea validation should have been done properly. They have, the right team. So, I mean, some of the things I think he also addressed. You need to look at which startups you want to onboard. So, team has to be strong. They should have strong domain expertise. They should have, the capabilities to actually go the long haul. All these are familiar what you are talking about. But we as investors, we give a hard look at these things. We look at whether they are unrealistic in terms of their expectations, their projections. So these are some of the things we really look at before we decide whether we want to fund. And I suppose I've covered what you wanted to ask.
No, absolutely. You've given a playbook to the people, I think.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Chandran. So, Priyank, now I want you to focus on the influence part of an investor over a founder's journey. What do you think in terms of influence an investor should have? Or incubator can also. On the business of that company in terms of business model or business canvas, when all those basic things are being done. I know you're at a little later journey, and at times I have seen that investors try to manipulate the business model at that stage also. But here I want to go one step back. What do you think? How much these people who are standing next to the founder should have their influence on on the business modeling and all that?
So thanks, Sunil. I'll take a second to give my context, right? So, of course, when I was at IIT Delhi, there was no startups, no incubators. That was last millennium. Even at Stanford, the concept of incubators was not so widely prevalent in the US like it is in India. I think in the US is around 2,000 or so incubators and accelerators. India has crossed 10,000, as we just heard. The point to understand is that incubators and subsequent early stage investors, and I've done early stage investing as an angel investor right from 2007 onwards, and then the VCs, especially pre-series A VCs, we are at different stages of the company. Now, if you look at it, ultimately we are investors, all of us. We are not owners of the business, and in my mind, they are basically selecting and standing with the founder and the promoter. Now, if we are any good at our work and if we are leveraging and learning from our experience, we should bring that onto the the experience of the founder. The founder may not have as wide an exposure just because he's in a particular sector, because maybe he's doing it the first time, and so that experience and learning we should bring to bear on the founder. But I don't think in any situation when we are taking 15, like incubators are taking 2, 2.5, 3, 4, 5%, or even VC investors like looking at 20, 25%, we are upfront in the investment thesis, not expecting to take control of the company. Now, some things will be a black and white no-no, like compliance elements will be obviously non-negotiable, and those things have to be aligned on. And fundamental business premise, which is the basis on which the company was invested in, those things may remain under veto. But on a day-to-day strategic basis, I think a concept of a veto or a concept of a control is not appropriate for investors to have. Unless the founders and the promoters are bought in to what is being encouraged or what they are being persuaded by, it's not going to happen anyways. So if we really want to have control, we should be like a private equity investor, come and take 51% and take charge for the show. If our decision is the one that we believe in and we are going to force it, then we should take charge of the responsibility of the outcomes by being in charge. But if you are not in charge and the promoter or the founders are in charge and we are expecting them to do that, we have to ultimately make sure that we give enough persuasion, evidence, arguments to enable them to believe the direction that we would recommend. And of course, we will when we are evaluating a proposition, try to understand how things can be done better. Even when we are on the board, we will be part of the board and the board process and contribute as a board member. But I think ultimately, who is in charge has to have that prerogative and what they think is the right thing to do with the influence from all around them. Ultimately, whatever they are thinking is also come from somewhere, either their own experience or from their own other, advisors or maybe customer or on the ground, whatever it is. If they're not good at making decisions or if things don't go right, then we all suffer. But if things are forced on them, then anyways it's not going to be executed with alacrity and it's not going to be executed with effectiveness, and so we anyways are going to suffer. So that's my view. It's pure mathematics. If you're a minority holder, you have a minority position on the decision making.
I need a closing note from all of you now. Okay, maybe Kashyap, we can start with you.
As the panelists and all would have elaborated more, I think it's an ecosystem that is required. There are founders, there are the investors, there are the incubators. Each has an important role to play. If you look at the international market, the Silicon Valley, for example, all these things have coexisted. Everybody has brought something to the table, and the smart founders actually know what they can lean on for where, right? And particularly when you're starting a company, there are 100 different variables. Trying to solve all 100 as a founder makes no sense. The top 10 are the most important things for you. You need to lean on others, the support system for the other 90. And that's where being part of an incubator where you have access to a whole bunch of people who have been there, done that, people who can tell you what your problem will be 2 years down the line, 3 years down the line, which is all information. It's again don't decide on the basis of that, but use that as a data point to make better quality decisions. I think if you think that way as founders, this is something that's worked really well for us and seen it work really well for some of the people I know. Thank you.
I have 2 points, Sunil. First one would be the market validation or the competitive intelligence that we do before an incubator selects a company for incubation, right? So it is usually beyond the capabilities of most incubators to get deep domain expertise, not happening. So maybe this question is for ISBA. If they could do a central triaging small team, which all incubators could access for deep down market intelligence and competitive intelligence, that might help more incubators make better decisions is one thing. 2, post-incubation. I believe nobody should be incubated more than 3 years as a hard and fast rule. So post-incubation, there's a lot of inefficiencies in the market. For example, GEM, Government Marketplace, it's a snake pit. So we still favor intermediaries or deal makers or mediators in the market compared to manufacturers. So manufacturer cannot compete with deal makers or intermediaries who have deep connections with the purchase agencies, right? So I'm tempted many times to file lawsuits, but then that makes a bad reputation for a founder, right? He's a troublemaker. So if ISBA could consider having a small legal team where these inefficiencies and lack of regulatory oversight is addressed, that would go a long way towards market post-incubation startups find their feet in the market. These are the 2 points I wanted to make.
Yeah, so the incubators, I just wanted to leave a few thoughts. One is please focus on validation. The idea validation and product validation are very, very important. In product validation phase, helping the startup to get the right technologies to build product is very, very important. Giving them that access to a few early customers who can validate the product, have the right mentors so that you are able to do this process well. I mean, you are basically, we would like you to collaborate with the startups rather than control them. You need to be supportive and where you need to be really hard, I mean, is that where compliances, I think you need to be very, very strict with them. They cannot bypass. You need to ensure that they are compliant. They are up to date on all the various regulatory requirements, and when they try to take some decisions which are going to affect their financial health in the long term, I think there you need to be really you need to monitor and see that they don't do the wrong way. But the whole process, you need to be supportive, collaborative, allow them to shine, allow them to bring out their entrepreneurial qualities. And that is the message I would like to leave. Thank you.
Thank you, Chandran. You covered almost everything I was going to add, but I'll just say that as an investor, both at the angel stage and the fund stage, from IN Group, what we see is good incubators. They take care of the company's all three fundamental aspects, right? Ultimately, from an investor perspective, there is the team, there's the market, and then there is the product or the idea or the proposition, right? And good incubators enable all of them, supporting the product validation, enabling the product validation with infrastructure, enabling the market element of that, allowing market validation, customer access. But many of them, I feel, are not necessarily are doing more what they could on the team side. I mean, it's not about, you cannot make people make teams, but helping the companies find the teams, making matchmaking sessions, making ways to find complementary team skills that are missing, helping the teams recognize which are the holes in their team so that they can look for those members and then facilitating that. Obviously, the companies have to form the teams themselves. So good incubators do work on all three. The problem that typically engineers have, I'm an engineer by training, is we always have a solution before we know what the problem is. And so bringing that customer orientation into the evaluation of what is the idea, making sure that the solution, the value proposition, the product is tested against market forces, against, and recognizing that, there may be the same need, maybe there in a different customer segment. Having that wide perspective, that is one of the most important things that new founders, especially tech founders, can benefit from an incubator's experience. And the one that is the underlying, which I feel I'm surprised, unfortunately, how many times we see companies that are not prepared better on this, is the compliance. I mean, this is the very objective or relatively well-definable checklist kind of thing, which every incubator, a good incubator, can make their companies be ready with. We see incubated companies come to us without even having a business plan. And on one side, you can blame the founder. Don't you understand that you need to have a financial plan for an investor to come in? Ultimately, investment means financial planning. It's not like the product validation stage. But they're incubated, and even the incubator has not given them that guidance. So I think that's the advantage of good incubated companies: market access, product validation team, and then fundamental good compliance underneath. And that's why we love to work with incubators, and looking for all of you to reach out to us for both the angel network as well as the fund. Thanks.
Thank you, Priyank. From my side, I would say try to leverage your alumni base. For me, because I also come from an incubator background, running at NASSCOM, I think any incubation center is as good as the kind of alumni, the people who are associated with it. So try to leverage that. I think these are the guys who are the best available resource that you have to nurture your current set of incubatees. Thank you so much.
To stay informed about the startup ecosystem, subscribe to My Startup TV.
There are two questions which we need to answer. In the interest of time, I am saying these questions right away. What in your experience has been the internationalization support which you have provided to the incubators? That's one question. The second is the same question, but the word incubator gets replaced by startups. So these are, one is what is that you have done in supporting incubators. Number two, what you have done for supporting startups. So these are the two questions which we need to answer. And if you would like to give any tip, any special tip to all the incubator managers here as to how they can go for internationalization. I will not talk about the India experience, because India experience I will leave it to Dipanvita to cover, and rest we have a variety, we will travel across the globe with these experiences. Over to you panel members, and Dipanvita, in case I need to come back somewhere, please let me know, otherwise I'll be a listener. Thank you. Dipanvita, please go ahead to begin with.
I'll take you because when you say you don't want to speak anymore, I'll take your mic. That's a dangerous incubation manager strategy.
Good.
So just trying to keep everyone awake because one, there's a little bit of delay, and the other is how do you make life interesting when a startup comes to you and say that we are not getting a market opportunity here, we want to do outside, we do not have enough funds here, we don't have venture capital here. And I'm talking of not today, I'm talking of the last 20, 25 years, because with Mr. Mittal sitting here, we have to talk of the legacy of so many years. How to develop your venture capital ecosystem when there are no Indian VCs, so you need VCs from outside, you need funding from outside, and if you're doing something like life sciences, like what we do, there's actually no funding. So very little funding. Now, of course, we have BIRAC to provide the initial grant funding, but we also wanted to look at funding from outside. The first thing that we did was actually try and see which are these organizations, are these corporates, are these philanthropies who would provide funds. And Gates Foundation from Seattle, they provided us the first Grand Challenges fund in India. And now Grand Challenges is so commonplace. Everyone runs Grand Challenges. Very lucky to say that, very proud and very privileged to say that IKP was the first organization that received an implementation funding from the Gates Foundation to set up Grand Challenges for early stage health. So then it was not only our incubator, it was the entire innovation ecosystem that could leverage this. So I think when we talk of internationalization from an incubator point of view, it is probably the ecosystem that we look at. So since I have to limit my discussion, I would keep it to, because the Grand Challenges became a program that all incubators run today. But can I take up the startup program also now, or should I come back?
I think you complete your...
I'll complete mine. Okay. So, we have done several programs for startups, but one thing that we are doing now, and because it started last year and this is our second year, with the Copenhagen Business School, we run a program where interns come and work with our startups. Last year, 31 interns from the Global Business Management program came to us to work with 4 of our startups. And this time again in November, they're coming. It is basically to provide new perspective for global expansion. And they work on the business plan with the startups sitting in Hyderabad in their premises, and at the end of it, it is basically expansion or growth program for these startups. I'm happy to say out of the 4 startups that last year we had nominated, Copenhagen Business School said, we want to do one more time for 2 startups. So there's a repeat program, a new group of people, because they were so happy with the kind of interaction their students gain and our startups gain. And I just saw Shishir here. Shishir will be one of those startups where 5 interns are coming from Copenhagen Business School. I think he just left. Oh, where are you? Oh, Rachna and Shishir. So it's a program, if it's a program for Rachna and Shishir, it's a program for all of you. And only thing is, come to Hyderabad, at least say, I have to tell CBS that yes, these are Hyderabad startups. And then they open up a very, very impactful program. I'll just leave it at that. If there's chance, I'll come back.
Thank you so much. And also thank you so much for the invitation to be here on this panel. My name is Adishri. I represent a German government agency called the German Center for Research and Innovation, and we're an official bilateral agency for developing science research innovation relationships. One of our programs is on science-based entrepreneurship, and what we do there is work with early-stage startups or also researchers who are interested in going to the market with their idea, with incubators at higher education and research institutions, and we also do a bit of background policy work for the policy advisors. Our approach for bringing together all of these is connecting them through the incubator ecosystems in both the countries. And we've been trying to do this since last 3 years, and it has been going well. So I'll just tell you what the experience has been. So we started in 21 with connecting, there was pandemic time, we started connecting everybody online first to actually check if there's an interest in connecting India, Germany, where are the gaps, what kind of formats would work. So we spoke to startups, we spoke to incubators from both the sides. The startups said, no one has ever asked us this before. So it's really interesting. So we took up their inputs. Those who just wanted to connect with both the ecosystems, we brought them down to a few, brought down the points a little bit just to say not to broadly connect, oh, I would like to connect to Germany, I would like to connect to India, but on what exactly? And then we followed it up with workshops in India and Germany. In the last 2 years, we were able to connect almost 100 incubators from both the sides. And we identified a couple of formats with them, gaps with them, also topics that would be of interest. Try to understand the ecosystem. What does a startup mean here? What does a startup mean there? When do the startups or teams exit the incubators? Where do the accelerators? What are the funding possibilities, etc.? And we have, like I said, a network of 100 that's running at the moment. The funding agencies have also been connected on both the sides. And the second thing that we do is connect early stage startups or researchers from both the sides. We run an immersion program since the last 3 years. As much as we love to increase the visibility of Germany in India, we would also like to increase the visibility of India and Germany, because there's a very strong imbalance of researchers or startups coming from Germany to India. So we actively try to show the innovation ecosystem to the German partners. That's why most of our programs at the first course start in India. So the immersion program also starts in India. It's a 2-week program, and we run this in a bottom-up approach with incubators from both the countries. So it's a 6 months to 1 year preparation. And we're happy to say that Hyderabad is the new city on our list, and we will be here another month with 30 participants, 15 teams, and almost 12 incubators from both the sides. And the success stories for that have just started with grants in Germany, grants in India. And I have to also thank the partners who've been helpful. IKP is one of them, DST, BIRAC, AIC, and several of the incubators have been here who have started helping us there. So I would leave it to that, and if you need connects with Germany, helping identify partners, you're welcome to contact us. Thank you so much.
Yes, Sawadee. First of all, let me thank our international partner, ISBA, for inviting us to join and to witness the vibrant, the good wife of Indians innovation and incubator ecosystem. First, let me introduce myself. I'm Suvipa Wanasathop. I'm representing Thai BISPA, which is the local network on incubators ecosystem in Thailand. We have around 40 members at the moment. So if any of our peer professional here would like to connect with us, please connect to Thai BISPA. And also I represent also the immediate past president of ABI, which is the Asian Association of Business Incubator, which also ISBA is the member. The reason why I'm saying that is that this is the way that to answer your first question. Actually, I met long-time friends with the Panvita in the IASP, International Association of Science Park Association. And for Thailand, in order for us to create the strong linkage, international linkage with abroad, we have to show them that we are ready to connect, to collaborate, and also to co-create. collaboration is not just to enter the new market. It is about working together to create value. And let me take the example of one of our initiatives that we actually we are also new in taking this level of collaboration. Before we only do the multilateral collaboration. For example, joining different conference, be active in different association in order to collect the connection so that when times it is needed for our entrepreneurs, then we can introduce and connect them and facilitate the connections. But recently we have tried to come up with some program that we want thing to happen, not just talk and connect and that's it. So we start what we call Sino-Thai acceleration program with China. So our counterpart there is the Shanghai Technology Innovation Center. They gather all their incubators in China, and then they recruit the entrepreneurs, especially in the field of health and wellness. So they recruit 10 of them and send it to us. And for us, we send 10 also entrepreneurs that we have recruited, but based on our strength in food and agriculture. And then they select about 7 of us, of our entrepreneurs, so that they will help with the co-acceleration program, and we also select about 8 companies from them. And we have about one year of co-acceleration program together. What happened is that we try to leverage each other's strength, and we believe that the cross-border collaboration does a good job there. Because one of our incubators called SMS, the Siam Modified Starch, they set up their technical solution center over there with the help of the the Chinese incubators, and they also get some help in the mentoring program so that they can navigate through the regulatory process, and also help, they get help in recruiting the necessary human resources to work in that operation. So in that count, I would like also to extend our invitation to ISBA, our international partners here that we have long-term relationship, especially with Dr. Rajendra, Dr. Bala, Dr. Suresh. We have known each other for over 20 years, and I think it's high time. Also, Mr. Mittal. Yes, I think it's high time that we do something together. So let me put everything here that we are ready, and please, we believe that two takeaways from the experience that we have, that Mr. Mittal asked us if we have any recommendation for the success. The key success factor of this cross-border collaboration is not quick, it's a long-term relationship, and it's the mutual trust. The shared goal is to create something together that is valuable to the success of our entrepreneurs. And especially if our entrepreneur success, then we can say that it's our success as well, because they propelled the economic growth of a nation, be it in both in the respective market. Yes. So the second one is that be proactive. So I'm now proactive, extending our invitation, and also we are awaiting for further collaboration. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Owen, the Deputy High Commissioner of the British government here in India. please, for your remarks.
Thank you very much, Isba, for inviting me. This is it's a pleasure and an honour to be here today. As mentioned, I represent the British government in Telangana and Andhra Pradesh, and to quickly address the two questions, because I know we are short of time. I think in the first question, with regards incubators and the approach of the UK government to supporting incubators, one of the programs I think is important, it's really good to highlight, is through our research councils, through the UK Research and Innovation, it supports a number of big incubators and innovation centres, and a lot of it reflecting something Srinivas said earlier. So we support incubators through our research councils, and as Srinivas said earlier, it's really important for not only for incubators to be broad, but also to be quite deep. And this is especially what the focus is on many of the incubators the UK government supports through our research councils. And to give an example of collaboration overseas, I can give a recent example from India. We've recently established a centre focused on responsible AI, and that will bring together all the stakeholders in the UK to look at responsible AI and how we adapt AI in the future. And only last month, the centre visited Delhi to hold a workshop with Triple IT Delhi. So this is a really good example of the deepness of our incubators, but also the type of overseas collaboration that is going ahead. Now for startups, again, there's a lot of British government support for startups. We have a number of catapults, in particular in very, very specific areas. And then we have a brilliant organisation called Innovate UK, which is as well as supporting startups in the UK in terms of their journey. A big focus on Innovate UK is also international collaboration. And we have another strong example of where Innovate UK work with India, and this one is actually with Hyderabad. So Innovate UK has a program with T-Hub, which will be about a 2-year program. And within that program, over the 2 years, around about 4 cohorts of UK startups will be based in T-Hub, not only to soft land it into the Indian market, but also to develop themselves utilising the know-how of T-Hub, but also of the whole innovation system here in Telangana. So that's a brief outline trying to address the 2 questions. Thank you very much for your time.
Yes, we will now move on to the Asian perspective. Please, go ahead.
My name is James Lee from the South Korea. This is very right now, 4:30, very tired time and sleepy time. Due to the very strong air conditioner, we cannot sleep, right? But thank you so much for joining us. Even though yesterday we have MIDE Association, is the Asian Association of the Business Incubation. We have a summit last night, so too many people coming. So thanks a lot. As a president of the ABI, I'm very happy. I'm proud of that. So I have many roles actually right now. I'm the professor and the president of the COBIA and the president of AABI. So right now I'm the sabbatical. So due to that, my student is still studying hard, but I'm flying from today here, joining you at the very good ceremony here. For the international linkage, for the target, one is the BI, and the other one incubator, and the other one is the startups. I want to tell you some based on my true story, case study. Actually, I'm doing the director of the startup foundation in the Dongguk University in Seoul. So with that, I want to tell you several things. First of all, for the incubator, the international linkage, right now, that is very important. That is what means is the securing connection. Human relationship is very important. Yesterday I met Dr. Rajendra, and then that is our connection is right now. Then our student or the startup incubator want to make a connection, then we're gonna connect it all through the two data of that, right? So second part is the network. So already our respectable former president of our RV, SWAPA, already pointed out, AABI, RV network is very important. So if you are interested in the South Korea or the Japan or the China, let me know. Then I will connect of that. So that is and we so far we have international international association of BI is three big ones. So one of them is in AABI Asia, and one of them Europe ETI something, and the America we have they have the INBIA. So we through that connection we can have many connected parts would be possible. And the third part is I want to say specialty is very important. So for my university, actually my work was started 2007. My university is not famous for the startup. Due to that, we have make the brainstorming many times. So the brainstormings, we have our conclusion is that what is our specialty of our university? So our university is exactly located in the center of Seoul. So exactly center of the New York, which is universities are there. There is the NYU, New York University. So NYU has very strong in the cultural technology. So from the 2007, we are our title of our university is the cultural technology. So cultural technology is many areas of that. So our startup in our Dongguk University is a specialty, is the cultural technology. So you should have your own specialty. That is important. So if you have your own specialty, then your international linkage is very easy, much easier. Okay, so that is the very good tips for the incubator. And second, for the startups, actually that is based on my true story. My student is very smart. Okay, so especially I'm the professor as well as director of the Dongguk University Startup Foundation director. As a professor, we need very important. The most important thing is the deep loving to the student. Okay, so deep affection is very important. So do you know EO? Have you heard about the EO? He is the very special the creator of YouTube, especially in the area of the startup and business incubation. So right now his name is Taeyong Kim. He is very famous, actually much famous than me. But 10 years ago, he was just a startup. As a student, startups there. He made the toys for the children and the toddler. So, but he failed 10 years ago, and I didn't know that exactly. After that, he did 3 times failure for the startup. And then 2017, he alone went to the Silicon Valley, and in the Silicon Valley, in this area, the event of that a lot of people, he mentioned about, I did 3 times failure for the startup. But a lot of the Silicon Valley people, they are very happy to say, you are very lucky. You are 3 times the failure, So with that, he is very famous right now. He is very famous, the YouTube creator. So he is one of the proud of my student. So if you are interested in the student startup, always with that deep affecting and loving is the very important thing. Okay, so that is the tips to the 2 things. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Professor Lee. Well, since we are not yet born, I'll just take the last two minutes, couple of minutes, for summing up what India did in internationalization See, sometimes you have to be lucky to get a collaboration. I was sitting in my office one day and suddenly a visitor came. And the visitor turned out to be an Indian who was working in World Bank, Washington. I think most of our incubator managers know him, Mr. Vivek Chaudhary. And he said that, can we develop this collaboration of the incubators across the global? The World Bank had a program, and I think has a program called InfoDev, Information for Development. So under that program, I think about 60 of our incubator managers, that program and another program with Lockheed Martin, the 60 of our incubator managers, they were trained in Silicon Valley. Because to us, at that point of time, Silicon Valley was a dream. We only used to dream what happens in Silicon Valley. But we had to actually go and see for ourselves what happens in Silicon Valley. There were, I think, a 2-week or a 3-week program which was conducted in Silicon Valley. And most of our incubators had visited that. Then the Lockheed Martin program came. Intel also supported us in a big way. The key learning, number one, please focus on your non-resident people. I'm not saying non-resident Indians because there are international guests here. Please focus on your international linkages through them, the non-resident individuals in those countries who can then bring back, number one, the ideas, the technologies, the mentoring, and ultimately maybe the finance also. So that's, and as far as startups is concerned, that's the second point. I normally narrate a lot of stories. Today there is no time for stories. So I will just remind you about, remember that story which I used to tell you often about an individual who was making artificial flowers. He was sent in a contest and he actually got not only the first prize but also the investment. What we also do is that we also support people who are participating in these events, these workshops, and this is for the startups. So we do that. So that's in summary. Dipanvita, before you want to say something, please go ahead.
Can I just endorse what you said about NRIs? A lot of the good collaboration and cooperation we have with India is through NRIs. They are really, really motivated to work with India, and it is something we really appreciate, but it's also something we can do a lot more with. But thank you for raising that. It's a really, really good point. If there is a cohort of people who really want to work with India and to really help India grow, it is the NRI network. They are really special.
Just have a really small point to add. When you said what could we tell the incubators, just in my experience, when we talk about startup connects or international connects, most of us jump towards market access. I would just like to say that there are more avenues for cooperation. There's joint technology transfer, early stage connects for startups, co-founder recruitments, team recruitments, and in our workshops, etc., we're also trying to encourage incubators to look at these avenues. So also look at that when you're looking for international collaborations.
Very nice. Dipanvita, can I conclude? Okay. No. You also wanted to share something? I thought. Okay. Well, friends, we have taken a world tour in 20 minutes. Okay? Relevant for this crowd here. This is, and let's give a big hand to all our panelists. Thank you. Thank you very much.
To stay informed about the startup ecosystem, subscribe to My Startup TV.
I'm a lung and critical care doctor at Apollo Hospitals. I'm the kind of doctor you don't want to see. I was fairly popular during COVID the people didn't know who I was, but I was taking care of them because they were unconscious and on ventilators. But at the same time, today's keynote is really to kind of share a perspective that I have from the bedside, but also a perspective that I see from my interest in research. Ramji has been known to me for almost a decade now, and it greatly thank you for inviting me to give this presentation. I think one of the things we want to think about when we are talking about startups, when we're talking about research, when we're talking about entrepreneurship, is not to forget that at the end of the line for all of this is the patient in the healthcare perspective. If you're looking at startups from an agriculture perspective, there's a farmer at one end of the line. If you're looking at it from a chemical industry perspective, there is a patient or an industry that needs this very specific chemical. So whichever industry you take as a startup, there is some human or a process that really depends on what you do to succeed. So I believe the ideas are essential, but persistence is even more essential. Anybody know what the number is? It's not an eye test. But that is the Indian median age. Most Indians are young. There's only 75 million people above 60 years of age. Some are in this room, I know, but I'm getting there too. But really speaking, 1 billion Indians need to get old in the next 30 to 40 years. That's a huge the countries are facing who have older populations. But you can clearly see that unless we fix many of the issues which are both biologic, systemic, process-oriented, we're going to be in big trouble. I think, what are the challenges? There is no time to think. Time is obviously of the essence. There is no money to act. There's not enough men. Very briefly, my story. When I was in medical college, when I was in high school, I was just interested in research. I ended up making paper out of water hyacinth and chopping up earthworms because I didn't want to kill any animals. I thought earthworms will regenerate, so I'm not really killing anything. I tested them out as a high school project. And then in med school, ICMR had a little thing on the notice board saying, hey, if you want further training in the United States, came back to India about. Now, fortunately for